Good morning. Fasten your seatbelts. We're on for a Wren Kitchen renovation. Here we go. Are you ready for this? Right, are you ready to see what the kitchen's looking like now before we start tomorrow? This is a big moment for me. It's been a long time in the planning, and so I wanted to show you exactly what we're dealing with as we get ready for the rip out tomorrow. So coming from the hallway into the kitchen, I'll just quickly show you around how it is now. Obviously it's very echoey and very empty, but just a quick glance and I'll just talk you through a few things as we pan the camera around, and you can see the space. So it's quite a big kitchen. Don't look in the hallway too much because I've just heaped a few things in there, but essentially yes, it is coming off from the hallway. So we've got the floor tiles that are coming from the hall, so this is a bit of an issue because we're going to have to cut them at the doorway because I've chosen a completely different tile. And the funniest thing was, when I went into the downstairs toilet, I realised that the tiles I've actually picked for the kitchen floor are the same as in the bathroom. So that's really funny. I gravitated to these tiles straight away in B&Q, and I thought, yeah, they're the ones. And that's why, it's because I've already got them, so I'm used to them. But let me talk you through everything. So in here, I've got the radiator. So what's going to happen tomorrow, this is day one really. The skip's going to come about 7 a.m. The plumber's coming about 8 a.m. So it's going to be quite hectic. But the radiator is sort of an old-fashioned traditional one. And that's going here on this wall when you come in. So that's the tall one, obviously. And they're the fixings there. So the plumber's going to take that radiator off for me. Hopefully he's going to be able to chip away at these tiles on the floor to put the radiator on. If he can't, that's another trip for when the tiles are off the floor. But his main job is to disconnect this range. So that's going. I've advertised that. I've cleaned it all up today. So that's looking good, but that's got to be out of the way. And what's really tricky is where to put it in the meantime. And I'll tell you more about that later on. So in the morning, the kitchen fitter is going to come and he's going to do the rip out. So that's why the skip's arriving. I've moved my car off the drive ready because you know what it's like. You're just running around when the skip man's there, and I don't want him to put it in the wrong place. So in here, I did have an American fridge freezer, and I've got so many tips to share with you about doing a kitchen renovation. But essentially, the reason that that was left in by the previous homeowner was because it was a devil to get out. I didn't realise, but when you go behind here, obviously the water has to be connected. So there's all water behind there and under here for the ice maker. So that's just something to think about. There was a stopcock behind here, so I managed to do it by myself. So all these coming out tomorrow. I need to move the air fryer because I don't know if I need that in the lounge or something, because I might want to make myself a little meal. All the tiles are coming off, so all the cupboards are empty. I've lived here just over a year and a half, and I've wanted to do the kitchen from day one. So some of the things that aren't happening, I'm not having underfloor lighting, and I'm not having underfloor heating, which is here now. So that's all coming up. I just wasn't bothered about the underfloor heating because I've never even put it on. And I'm not bothered about the underfloor lighting. What I am bothered about is under the cabinet lighting. So a really good top tip, which my son and I did, we taped all where the new units are going to go, so I could just get an idea of the size of them. So here we've got that little area here. So the the new units are going to come flush with that wall, if you can see that. So that's going to come out a bit, and that tape that's hanging there, that's as high as the units are going to go, because I didn't want dirt at the top. So Wren are doing me an extra plinth to get it higher, because otherwise you have all that dust and dirt just accumulating. And trust me, I've been on the top of these units and they're just absolutely disgusting. So I think the hob is going to come where that sticker is. The oven's going to be up here somewhere. The central island is going, and the reason I don't want a central island is because basically all I do is dump on it. I don't know if you're the same, but we didn't have stools here or anything like that. We had this as a thoroughfare. It's got units at this side. I'm going to have units over here, so this is going to be like my baking area, because I do like to bake. So that's, I'm just going to have a unit here, and then the idea is when you walk through the kitchen, it's a big space. That's going because I am just having an induction hob, and he's going to bash through the wall because this is an outside wall. I've just had to do a quick coat of paint on here, because I don't know if you've ever done this, and I haven't. It's an absolute pain when they put the the radiator on. If you forget to paint behind, it's impossible to get behind an upright or a bathroom radiator. So I've just given this wall a quick couple of coats, and I know it's got all holes in and everything, but we can sort that out and I can patch those up. But I just thought I've got to get some paint behind that radiator, so I did all that wall. And the colour I chose, I didn't want to go for anything really rash, but it's the Dulux and it's the jasmine white, and I did a couple of coats and I'm happy with the way that's looking. So going down here, I'm going to have units up here. It's going to be pretty much the same actually. And down here is the dishwasher, that's staying there. I've got a Belfast sink to go in here. We're keeping this tap because my son always said to me, are you going to get a hot water tap, Mum, whenever you have a next house? And I said, oh gosh, no, I don't think I'm bothered about that. This one was in. We didn't even know it had a hot water tap. Let me tell you, they're an absolute game changer. I would never, ever go back to boiling a kettle. The amount of times I use it every day, and I think this is just absolutely brilliant. So that what I'm going to do is try and rub and buff it to the antique gold, because they are so expensive, and there's nothing wrong with it. And it needs a clean up, obviously, but I'm going to clean it and then do rub and buff. So the Belfast sink's going in there. When you've got a boiler cupboard like this, there's literally nothing you can do. So this is going to stay the same. Boiler in there. Wren do not do a big cupboard, so she's ordered me sort of 2 cupboards, 2 halves, and then the kitchen fitter has got to make that into a cupboard. Washer will stay here. Obviously, when I bought the appliances, I bought integrated, so they will fit on the doors and go in. So this has been rocking like you've never known. What else I've got to tell you? Oh, all the wall tiles have got to come off. I'm just careful not to put my reflection in the window because I'm in my pajamas essentially, because we've got a heavy day tomorrow. I've just kept myself a few cups and out and various things, coffee essentials, coffee machine. So I'll move that tomorrow morning probably. But yeah, I can't wait for all the tiles to come up. It's going to be such a job. I'm so apprehensive about it, to be honest. It's just not a good thing to go through, but all you can do when you have a kitchen refit is just to think it'll be worth it in the end. That's all that gets you through it, essentially. So in the conservatory, oh my Lord, we have boxes upon boxes upon boxes. So I bought a brand new fridge freezer. It's right down there. I said to the delivery man, just make sure I can get to the fridge freezer. So if I want to get anything out of the fridge, I have to go outside, right through down the side of the house, back through the conservatory. So horrendous or what? But what can you do? I had to have it delivered, obviously several days before the kitchen fitter arrived, just to make sure that everything was here. And that's the inside of the cupboards. I had a panic. I thought, I didn't choose grey. What's going on? So nobody knows what I've chosen. I'm keeping it as a surprise, essentially. So yeah, it's exciting, isn't it, really? I mean, kitchens are such a lot of money. It is so hard to make the right decisions. I'm not 100% sure I have made the right decision, but it is what it is. There are so many things you can't do. So, for instance, the boiler will have to stay there. That's where that stays. I would have liked to raise dishwasher. In the UK, they don't tend to want to do that. I would have liked that off the floor, but what can you do? They can't do that. So, you know, you always need a deep drawers, don't you? You need like a pan drawer, you need a cutlery drawer. So you can have amazing ideas, but the trouble is, it's getting them. I saw this a really good idea where, for instance, say that was against the wall, you have another table underneath and it swivels out, and then you've got extra table if you wanted, and there's, you know, the legs drop down, whatever, but it's hard to get skilled cabinet makers. So this has no door to the conservatory. Obviously, it's freezing in the winter. So what I want to do is some unique solution. So watch this space for that. If I can get somebody to do it, that is. Yeah, so this is how we're looking at the moment. Oh gosh, I went to B&Q to get the tiles for the windowsill, and they only had one packet. So I've got to keep looking to see if they get them in. What I'm really struggling with is getting everybody to come at the time they're needed. So when does the template man come for the quartz? That's one issue. When does the plasterer come to repair the bad behind the tiles? When does the tiler come to fit the wood floor so that he can lay the tiles? When does he come and do the window bottom? Everybody has to be in sync with each other, and I think that's really hard. So it's project management at its absolute finest. There's so much I can tell you about planning a kitchen, because I did one not so long ago at the old house, and I feel like I'm learning all the time. It all depends on who your designer is in the showroom, what ideas you've had yourself, and what you're willing to pay for, essentially, because everything's so expensive. Sometimes it's best just to, you know, have a look at the prices of the cabinets. When you're choosing your kitchen, they're flicking through and you're looking at the prices and thinking, wow, that cupboard's 350, that one's 850. Oh, perhaps I could compromise on that cupboard because I don't want to spend 850. So make sure that you really need that size cupboard, or, you know, you just look into it all properly. And I'm definitely going to, I think, do a video on the things I've learned, or the top tips, because we learn every time. And yeah, I think you just have to be on the ball with it, because obviously when you're with a kitchen designer, they're just wanting to get the maximum commission. So they're not going to say to you, oh, you could have this 2-drawer cupboard and it's cheaper than having a big cupboard or whatever. So there is a lot to take into account. But anyway, I'm going to cut this video now, and I'm going to hopefully put it all together. I can show you the refurb along the way, probably after day one, if I'm not having a heart attack at that point. But I'm looking forward to getting it started. It's been a long time, and I think it's time for me to have an early night, because it'll all be kicking off in the morning. So pray for me. So a brilliant first day. They managed to rip everything out, and I'm just doing the inspection of the floor and the video so that I can send it to the tiler. He wanted to see the surface he was working with, and obviously around the windowsill as well. This was also really useful to share with the plasterer so that he could see some of the work that needed to be done. The kitchen fitters wanted to fit the kitchen, then they get the plasterer in. That was a definite no-no. So this set us back, because then they lost a day and I had to add the day on afterwards. But definitely do not have plastering done after you have kitchen units fitted. There is such a lot of
are you ready
slop and
to
mess.
see the empty kitchen? Unbelievable. So this is how it's looking. When I saw the workmen, they were just finishing off today when I came back, I said, oh wow, it looks so much smaller. And they said that's a really common thing that customers say, is when they come back they expect it to look bigger with no units, but actually it looks smaller. So my first appointment today was with the plumber. So he took this radiator off, but he couldn't put the new radiator on because it involved getting up the tiles, and he said, why would you pay a plumber to get tiles up? It's no point, we'll come back again. So they took that off and they put that out for the scrap man. That was really heavy because obviously it was full of water. So that's all done. Then they took the cooker out. Again, that was quite a big job actually, to cap off the gas and make that good. So that's all done now. And what we are left with now, I had two kitchen fitters today, so they ripped out together, and the skip's literally full actually. So you can see the state. I'm so glad I booked the plasterer in, because if you don't have tiles, then this is the finish you have to paint over. So ridiculous really. So what they've done, the two kitchen fitters today, is they have taken everything out and taken all the utilities out. So eating tonight was tricky, but I had a salad, so that was okay. They've taken all the floor up, and I'm quite impressed with the floor, to be honest, because it doesn't seem bad. So what they have to do now is get rid of that water pipe. That was for the American fridge freezer. All this area here doesn't need to be plastered because cupboards are going to go there. I love this. Skim above the line on Cheers. So there was a hole there. So I've put my apron in there because it was getting quite drafty. This area here, there isn't a cabinet, so I was going to just do shelving or just see if I wanted a splashback. So that's pretty vital to be plastered, and all of this. Obviously there was a hole there before for some reason. So the electrics are pretty much wired. We've changed things over. So the on-off switch for the TV that I didn't have is now going to be for the under cupboard lights. So that he's channeled all that, that's all ready. So I need to order for the template for the worktop. He's got the tiles up, he's left a few, so the tiler can just cut it back to where he wants. The washer's here, full of washing, the dishwasher, the hot water taps here. So they've left it really tidy actually. I'm really impressed. I mean, look at the state of this. I know there's going to be a cupboard there, but I do want that patching up. So, the boiler's here. And also, this has got to be good for the tiler to do me a nice finish here. But the guys are really good. They went off for lunch. They didn't want anything at all. So they're really low maintenance, and they really are trying their best to help. And I tell you what, that makes such a difference, because they just say, "Don't worry, it'll be sorted. We can do that." And that is exactly what you need. It takes such a lot of stress out of it. So just to finish off, there we have it. I did have to explain about the plugs again and again. So I've told him before where I want the plugs. I want some into the cupboard so I can put appliances in there, and I've explained it a few times, but what you have to remember is they're doing quite a few jobs and it's a few weeks since I booked him, so you have to be a bit patient and just say, yeah, I want them there. You feel like you're a parrot, but you know, they can't be expected to remember what every single person wants, and also you could have changed your mind, and everybody needs to be clear about what's going to happen. So I videoed the plasterer and just said this is the state of it. He's going to be all day tomorrow, so the kitchen fitter isn't coming tomorrow. And I also need to video the floor for the tiler and the tell him what's what, and just actually change the dates for the tiler for the floor, because what I don't want is everybody here together, because that isn't going to work. So the tiler has said he'll come in the evening, and that'll be better, because then he can just crack on, because it needs all boarding and adhesive obviously before he can get started on the tiles. And to be honest, I've ordered the tiles a bit later than I should have. But yeah, that's where we're at, and I'm not going to film every night, so I'm just going to show you the bare shell really. But yeah, I was quite disappointed at how small it looked, because with getting rid of the central island, I thought, oh, you're going to walk in, it's going to be amazing, but actually it's not that big a space. I should measure it out so that you get some sort of context of it. In fact, I could stride it out now so it's... It's about 16 foot long, and the width, sorry if this is boring for you, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16 by 10, really. I thought that was quite big, but apparently not. So, fingers crossed we can sell this soon, because I do not want this in the conservatory indefinitely. Thank you for watching. Hope this is helpful. Let me know in the comments. Disaster strikes next time. Please stick with me and subscribe. Thank you.